Yeah. All right, we're at Debbie Foster's house, and she is a neighbor. I guess we could call her neighborhood, commercial, non-commercial, whatever you want to call it.
Backyard maple syrup
Backyard maple
maker.
syrup maker, and we're at one of her trees in her backyard here. And Debbie, I want you to tell us how you started that out in order to get that thing to drip into the bucket.
So what we do is we have a special drill bit that we use to tap the holes for getting the maple sap, and we tap in about 1.5 to 2 inches and tap in our spile, which you can see in the tree. Yeah. And this bucket, of course, is a 2-gallon bucket. It'll collect all the sap that comes out. So when we wait for the freeze and thaw of the trees, we'll start seeing a drip into the buckets and collect every day and cook down the sap to make our maple syrup.
Okay, now you told me that the other day that temperature has something to do with it.
Temperature has everything to do with it. So here in Kentucky, we can only get maple syrup from about January, the 1st of January to the end of February. And you've got to have below freezing temperatures at night, and the rising temperatures normally in the 40s to 50 during the day for the sap to start running. So when it's freezing at night, the sap in the trees rises. And as the warmer weather hits, the sap flows down. Therefore, you start getting sap in your buckets.
All right. Now, on this particular tree, she's got a bucket on the backside, too. And we got more trees here in the yard. If you look over at this tree, there's 2 buckets on it. Maybe another one on the backside.
No, there's just 2 on that one.
Okay. And at your farm, you've got a, 100-acre, 200-acre farm?
I've got 87 acres in Grayson and 3 neighbors who allow me to tap the trees at their farm. So we're tapping all red maples and silver maples right now.
All right.
We don't have any sugar maples. So you can tap the reds, the silvers, the sugar maples. So we've got some really good producing red maples.
Okay. Now, as you empty these buckets, I guess they will get filled
These
up.
These will fill up, and I have 5-gallon transport buckets that I usually go around and collect out of all of these. And maple sap is like milk, so it will spoil if it's not cooked quickly. And so within every 2 days, I will be boiling down the sap to make maple syrup.
All right, let's walk back up to the house there now. Once you get it into the big bucket to bring up to where your stove's located, you'll tell me more about that once we get up here.
Sure. So I go to the farm and collect every couple of days and transport it home, bring home the firewood, because we do everything here wood-fired barrel cooker, homemade. And so we'll transport the sap home, keep it cold until it's time to cook it down, and get the fire going in the little barrel cooker.
Now I might say something here about the stove. Debbie's boyfriend, Sean Borst, has built this from a kit. I don't know what all he had to do, but he had a lot of work in it. And it is a nice stove, and as you can see, part of it's got some heat wrapped stuff around the stack coming up out of it for the heat to dissipate a little, to keep that a little bit cooler on the back of your pots,
Yep.
isn't it? But at any rate, Sean built this, and let's go over and look at it a little bit.
So in the barrel, we have put sand in the bottom. Then we have lined it with fire blanket to keep the heat in, and then lined it with fire brick. So we've built a...
Okay, now we're inside Debbie's apartment here, and she's showing me something that she had to buy, and I'll let her start from there what we're looking at.
So when you bring the syrup inside to get it to finish temperature and get it ready to bottle, this year I've upgraded to something called a Murphy cup. And so the Murphy cup, along with a hydrometer, is going to test the bricks in my maple syrup. So you want your syrup to be 66 bricks, which means finished syrup is 66% sugar. So once I have it inside and I'm boiling it down and it gets to about 219 on the stove, I'll start testing it to see where I'm at on bricks. So this is what I use. It's a hydrometer for syrup. what we'll do is we'll fill this cup up and we will slowly lower this in, because this piece of equipment here is very delicate. So we will slowly lower it in. And what the Murphy cup helps me do, when my syrup is at perfect density, both the Murphy cup and the hydrometer will register at the same temperature, or the same line. So at that point, I know I've got maple syrup that's at the perfect density. You get it too hot when you bottle it, and it's going to crystallize. Sugar will, like the first bottle I gave you this year, Tom, because I broke my hydrometer. So at that point, you want to pull it off the stove. You want to filter it again. You want to heat it back up to about 185 to 190 to bottle it. That way you don't end up with the crystals. You've got the perfect temperature. And I heat all of my jars in the oven and have them hot and ready to fill. And then, of course, I have all of my stuff out and about here. I'll fill each bottle, pull them out. I actually bought this year a little water heater, and it will heat the syrup up to me after it's finished and filtered to 185 degrees and hold it there. So I literally pour the syrup from this directly into the bottles, cap them off, lay them on their side for a minute just to make sure the lids are nice and hot. And we have maple syrup. All right. And as you see now, behind you there,
we're going to look at some of the syrup that she has bottled. I don't know how many there are. I'm not going to try to count them.
We've done 19 bottles this year. Okay, that's 17 of them.
That's 17 of the ones that you worked on, and then I probably ate one of those.
You ate one of those.
Yeah. And here, look at the beautiful bottles that she's made there and labeled. And she hasn't sold these as of yet, but people are starting to ask, is it for sale? So I think she's going to have to start getting some of her money back by selling some of it. But at any rate, she's not only a maple syrup maker, she's also a hunter. And I want to show you something over here on the wall. She's got a buck that she killed. When did you get this year, Debbie?
We got him September of last year.
September of last year, she got this buck with a crossbow. Now, most people with guns don't always get a buck like that, but she got it with a crossbow. And there's one that her dad had for some time. And if you can look at see the size of the one that was her dad's, you can tell that hers is much bigger and a much prettier mount, I think. And she said that the fellow that mounted this was over in...
it's Terry Vest in West Liberty. Does an amazing job.
Yeah, he did.
Amazing job. Yeah.
Okay. Debbie, is anything else in the house here that in this process that you go through that you do?
So this filter right here, you see I have filters laying out everywhere. So when it's finished outside on the stove, we have some Orlon filters and some pre-filters that will put the sap through. We'll wet the filters so that it goes through easier. And this will pull out a lot of the impurities. So we're making really good pure maple syrup, I think.
Well, I know this morning when I got up, we had French toast and sausage and this delicious maple syrup. And I'm going to tell you, it is absolutely delicious. So that's how I started my day this morning before I came over to film this little video of Debbie.
Happy to have you here with me today. It's fun to have somebody to talk to while we're making syrup. It's been fun to watch it, and I'm going to turn this off, and we're going to go out and watch you do a little more outside. All right.
All right. Bye-bye.